This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to another week of Racing Across America. I'm Seth Merrill. This is Monday morning in Racing Across America. Happy to be on the air and joined by you this morning. And coming up a little later on, Catskill Steve Jerjanian from Monticello Raceway. A tip of the hat to our sulky friends. We haven't had Steve on in a while, but we thought we'd invite him on and talk a little bit about Monticello for this afternoon, get some insights into their racing. And then a little later on, we're going to be joined by Frank Vespi from the RacingBiz.com. And again, his website follows racing in the Mid-Atlantic region. Frank is located down in Maryland, and so I thought we'd have him on because it was a really nice day of stakes action at Laurel this weekend. 4 nice stakes races. So when Frank comes on, we'll recap the stakes action down at Laurel for the weekend. The Jennings, the Smart Halo, the Dave's Friend, and the James Lewis. As I say, a really nice day of stakes action down there at Laurel on Saturday. Do want to remind you once again that if you're a boxing fan, come on out. Clubhouse Racebook tonight. There is a nice set of bouts for this evening that will kick off. Doors open at 5:30. The first bout is at 6:30. This is the third of 4 big nights of boxing down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. They're held the third Monday of each month. 2 more months to go, December and January. But tonight, you can come down, enjoy boxing again at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. You can come down 711 Sports Grill also. Come down a little early, grab some dinner, then come out and enjoy a night of boxing. Again, that's right here at the Clubhouse Racebook tonight. Nice set of boxing matches that you can enjoy with the doors opening at 5:30, the first bout at 6:30 tonight. The Clubhouse Racebook. I mentioned earlier in the Handicappers Report that this morning I'd found the latest edition of the Vegas Future Book Derby odds, and I just wanted to take a quick look at those. Kind of interesting. Havana 30-1 now. The one that jumped off the page as favoritism, it looks like, I took a quick look over the list. There's probably a couple of hundred horses listed here, but I'm reasonably sure that the favorite is Honor Code 12-1. I would find it very difficult to take 12-1 on a horse in November to make it into the starting gate, much less win the Kentucky Derby. New Year's Day, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 22-1. Shared Belief, I mentioned this earlier because I was chasing down these odds last week after Shared Belief won the Hollywood Futurity. Before the Hollywood Futurity, Shared Belief, 175-1. After the Hollywood Futurity, 22-1. Strong Mandate, the Wayne Lucas horse who did so well up here at Saratoga, 30-1 on the morning line. Tap It Rich, the Bob Baffert horse, that was a little bit of a disappointment in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 25-1. So interesting update again, and I've got those linked on Equidaily today if you want to go through the entire list, and if you have a horse in the back of your mind, see what their odds are currently, Derby Future Book odds. And also there's a set of past performances provided by Briss of the 2-year-old contenders right now. So again, you can check that out over on Equidaily. Gary Stevens having a great year. Certainly, he has been named the big sport of turfdom by the Turf Publicists of America. They announced it just within the past few days. It's an honor bestowed each year upon a person or group of people who enhance the coverage of thoroughbred racing through cooperation with the media. This year's winner is Gary Stevens, so hats off to him. He, again, has been named the Big Sport of Turfdom Award winner. That award gets handed out December 10th at the Symposium on Racing and Gaming out at the University of Arizona. So Gary Stevens, the Big Sport of Turfdom. And I mentioned this last week, I believe. Gary Stevens, part of the U.S. contingent, along with Mike Smith, that will be representing our country in the 2013 Hong Kong International Jockey Championship. That comes up December 4th. Again, Gary Stevens, Mike Smith, part of the team that will, or the United States team representing us in Hong Kong in the Jockey Challenge out there. Again, that's December 4th. But within the past few days, it was also announced that Gary Stevens will represent the United States, the World Super Jockey Series in Japan. And that comes up right at the end of this month, last day of this month, as well as the 1st of December. Again, a group of international jockeys will square off over a couple of days. I think there are 4 races each day in Japan that these jockeys will compete in. Gary Stevens will be representing the United States. And it's a nice, same in Hong Kong. Ryan Moore is there, Christophe Simulian, but on the Japan side, you have Richard Hughes in there. You have Ryan Moore again in the mix, and it's just a nice mix of jockeys from Japan and international jockeys as well. So we'll keep our eyes on both of those events that will be happening internationally. On the Japan Racing Association website, they announced this, and then they also had the past results of the World Super Jockey Series. And I was interested to see, as I went back from 2012 last year, I was just kind of going back and looking at the winners. It's been a while since we've had a winner from the United States. If I'm parsing this out correctly, and I just took a quick look this morning, but I believe that the last time a United States jockey won the World Super Jockey Series in Japan, 1996, Jerry Bailey. So it's been a while. It's been the better part of 20 years since we have had a winner from the United States. We'll have to root for Gary Stevens this year, see if he can manage to get it done. So Gary Stevens, again, both in Hong Kong and in Japan, will be representing the United States in international jockeys challenges. Speaking of Japan and jockeys, Yutaka Taki, who for years and years has been either the top jockey or one of the top jockeys over in Japan, and he's ridden over here in the United States on occasion. But Yutaka Taki scored his 100th grade or Group 1 victory, became the first Japanese jockey to do that. Did that over the weekend in the Taisen Ra, a Grade 1 event in Kyoto. And I note that, not because it's an interesting, I think folks who follow racing at all, with even a little bit of interest in international racing, Yutaka Taki, again, has been a prominent name in the international scene for a while, being a guy who's broken records over the years in Japan. So it's interesting from that respect, but it's also interesting he won this Grade 1 event this weekend in Japan on a horse that was sired by Deep Impact, who of course was so great over in Japan just within the past decade or so, but by Deep Impact, and the dam also produced Flower Alley. So won this Grade 1 over in Japan on a half-brother to 2005 Travers Stakes winner, Flower Alley. It was kind of interesting. There was a little bit of a United States connection in there. Notable workouts over the past few days. Pletcher's Cigar Mile Trio breezed at Belmont over the weekend. 40 Tails, Capobastone, and more importantly, Verrazano. They're all aimed for the Cigar Mile, which is shaping up to be a very good race. 40 Tails worked in 51.4, Capobastone 47.66, Verrazano 47.67. And the last two were the fastest workouts at the distance on the training track. Pletcher says Capobastone and Verrazano have been working together quite a bit. We were looking for a similar type of work for both of them. I think it worked well in the past. Both did it willingly on the bridle and gave me the indication that they both bounced out of the Breeders' Cup races in good order. 40 Tails is a little bit of a less ambitious workhorse, but we thought he worked well for what he normally does. So it looks like the Pletcher contingent is moving into the Cigar Mile in good order. Also, the nominations for the Clark came out, and the Clark, we thought, like the Cigar Mile, a late season race that is shaping up to be very, very interesting. And sure enough, the nominations are interesting. Now we have to see who actually puts a slip in the entry box, but among the 19 nominated, Game On Dude and Will Take Charge. And that'll, if both of those go, again, that will make things very interesting. There are eclipse implications there. Game On Dude, as far as older horse, some folks are thinking, gee, if we vote Wise Dan Horse of the Year, we also have to vote him older horse. I think another Grade 1 victory for Game On Dude might solidify in folks' minds that they could go Horse of the Year, for Wise Dan and Still Go Older Horse for Game on Due. Similarly, Will Take Charge would put a stranglehold on a 3-year-old Eclipse with a win in the Clark. So going to be very interesting to see if they both go, and then we'll root for some good performances. Also likely for the Clark are among the nominations Bourbon Courage, Prayer for Relief, perhaps Golden Ticket, and a name that jumps out at me. We'll see if he can finally validate for me what I chased all year long. Uncaptured is part of the nomination list for the Clark, so I certainly have my rooting interest in there. But too late for me to cash in on that Derby bet I was hoping for, but we'll see what happens with Uncaptured potentially in the Clark. Again, we have to see who actually puts the slip in the entry box. Noted this on Loose on the Lead yesterday, but I just wanted to mention it again for folks who maybe are more geared into the weekdays as opposed to the weekends. Calder on Saturday, the Cut the Charm Stakes was won by an 18-1 long shot named Flutterby. More importantly, Flutterby trained and owned by 93-year-old Jerry Bozzo. So congratulations to him. Probably one of the oldest active trainers in the United States, a World War II veteran, the owner-trainer of Flutterby. Flutterby, a 2-year-old. So Jerry Bozzo, 93 years old, and certainly something to get him up and get him to the track in the morning now with a nice 2-year-old stakes winner. Again, that was down at Calder on Saturday. And I linked to the story about this race on Equidaily today, and then right under it, I also linked to a story that's probably about a month old, going back to October, and I think Mike Welch wrote it, that kind of profiles Jerry Bozzo and talks a little bit about him and his training operation down there in Florida, so you may want to pick that up as well. Notable stakes races that we'll touch on as the week goes along, but there was a couple yesterday, didn't get a chance to call for the replays today, but we'll look at these two as the week goes on. Down at Aqueduct yesterday, there was a couple of little overnight stakes races. Chamois gets the job done under Joel Rosario in the Duluth, getting up in the stretch over Not a Cat But a Llama. Not a Cat But a Llama, the Pletcher Rapoli runner that was the 9-5 favorite, but in the Duluth, a little bit of an upset there as 5-1. Chamois gets the job done over Not a Cat But a Llama. And then also yesterday on the card at Aqueduct, it was the Slew of Gold. Bigger is Better gets the job done there at 8-1. A little bit of an upset with Percussion, the 9-5 favorite, running third. So a couple of stakes races on the card yesterday at Aqueduct. Before we go to the break, I also wanted to look at a couple of stakes races from the weekend, and we'll take a look at a couple of races from Churchill Downs before we go to our break. Again, these were Saturday night. It was a night card at Aqueduct, and somewhere in here I had the night card at Churchill, the night card Downs After Dark, 12,222, and it was the only night program of the fall meet, of this traditional fall meet. 12,000 for the night card, I think, has to be a little bit disappointing for them. I hope the bloom isn't coming off the rose, because that night racing down there was kind of special and was attracting some decent crowds, but there could be a couple of factors here. Maybe, again, they only have one night card for this traditional fall meet. I think it might be a little more popular in the spring. The weather may be a little more conducive to it, but the 12,000 certainly, I think, again, potentially a little bit of a disappointment. But going back to the stakes races, the Commonwealth on Saturday night, $100,000 purse, grade 3 event. They were going 1 1/16 on the turf for 3-year-olds. The winner, as they come down the stretch, is going to be the number 4, River 7. River 7 came out of a stakes race up at Woodbine, the Labib, running a 105 buyer figure that looked like an absolute aberration. Still attracted the favoritism of the betting public, 5-2 on Saturday. It is the number 4, as you see there, under Sean Bridgman, getting it done. Number 12, Frack Daddy, is going to wind up second in here. Frack Daddy does seem to have a future on the turf. It was a decent run by Frack Daddy, but River 7 validating that very nice win up at Woodbine last time out. So River 7 gets it done in the Commonwealth Saturday night at Churchill Downs. Also Saturday night, it was the Mrs. Revere, and we'll take a look at the stretch run of that in a moment too, but the Mrs. Revere was won by Emotional Kitten, the number 1 horse for Ken Ramsey. Stymied at the Breeders' Cup, but the juggernaut does continue. Never fear. Emotional Kitten goes out for Ken Ramsey and trainer Wesley Ward. Interesting, they brought in Victor Espinoza from California just to ride this horse. Espinoza said, I was afraid we were going to be second, but she just kept coming, and you'll see the number 1 Emotional Kitten will run down the number 5 Effie Trinket in here. Effie Trinket down in Churchill Downs from some state-bred stakes races up here in New York. The New York bred for Rick Violet, a very nice second in here down at Churchill Downs in open company. But Effie Trinket only can get second as, again, the Ramsey Juggernaut gets it done. 9-2 on the tote board for Emotional Kitten was, I think, what are we looking in here? Probably the 3rd choice in the wagering. So a couple of stakes races from Churchill Downs. Again, on Saturday night, a Downs After Dark card there. And that'll bring us up to our first break of the hour. Again, a little later on, we're going to take a look at the stakes action from Laurel with Frank Vespi. But right after this break, again, we'll be revisited by someone we haven't talked to in a while, but we'll head over to the sulky side when we come back. Catskill, Steve Turjanian from Monticello Raceway. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at CapitalOTB.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we are happy to be joined now by Steve Turjanian from Monticello Raceway. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Seth.
And I want to remind people, if they go to the Monticello Raceway website, they can find Steve's selections each and every day. And Steve, as I was kind of parsing through the selections, I noted you had a pretty good day last Thursday. It seemed the notes seemed to indicate things were going your way.
Yeah. You have days like that, and of course you have the bad days also.
Yeah, we've all been there. But the good days, certainly, it's like golf. You like to walk off the 18th green with a par. Makes you want to come back the next day. So we'll see what we can do this afternoon. But before we get to some of the racing for today, just wanted to catch up, get some general comments. How's the racing season been going since we last talked to you? How was the summer season?
The summer season was great. Racing's been really good up there. I guess they average a little over $500,000 a day in handle, which is great. Big news up there is the leading driver, Bruce Aldrich Jr., ranks 4th in the nation in driving victories. Going into today, according to the charts there, he has 548 wins on the year, which is 3 behind Tim Tetrick for 3rd. And he drives exclusively at Monticello and Saratoga. He's had, in the past couple of weeks, he's had a couple of five-win days and even a 6-win day sandwiched in there. So he's doing quite well.
Yeah, and I saw that he was 4th in the nation, and Marone and DeVoe also, in the top 25 as far as national wins?
Yes, they're up there. Yeah, they drive at a couple different tracks. Jimmy DeVoe is at Saratoga as well as Monticello. And Jimmy Marone Jr., I believe, is at either Tioga or Vernon, away upstate New York. The other big news, this Wednesday afternoon, they have what they call the Heritage Series, and I've discussed this with you in the past, where they have drivers of, let's say, German descent, Italian descent, African-American drivers, women drivers, and they all come together one day as separate groups. And this Wednesday is the last, they call it the Heritage Series, the last of the Heritage Series, and the leading driver in North America, Ronnie Wren Jr., has been invited, and he's accepted. And so he'll be here on Wednesday afternoon.
And it's for Canadian Heritage, correct?
Yes,
I understand,
Canadian Heritage.
And I understand Ronnie Wren said, I'd love to come, but hook me up with some other drives. So it seems like for folks who are going to be watching Monticello on Wednesday, they'll get to see Ronnie in a few races at least.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is certainly what you want when the leading guy comes, if he can jump on board a few. I also noted you got an interesting little promotion coming up potentially at the end of the year if enough horses enter. But it's interesting, the last racing day down at Monticello, December 30th, you are going to have a race for 14-year-olds.
Yeah, the Au Revoir.
I like that.
They've had it in past, but a lot of times they can't fill. Okay. But it's an exciting race. It's the last race for, of course, all the horses, and it's interesting. They had it last year, and it was in the New York Times. Either last year or the year before, and the New York Times had an article on it, which was really good. So.
And as you say, that 14 years old, it's going to be a question whether they fill it, but it's certainly a fun concept. And the gimmick being that mandatory retirement is 2 days away, essentially. So it's their last shot. I like that, the au revoir.
That's what they call it, yeah.
Very good. And again, we talked a little bit about Bruce Aldrich, Marone, DeVoe, some of the leading riders down there, just catching up since the last time we talked to you. On the trainer side, looks like, Gill and Lonsberry are what taking a look at.
Gill had a pretty huge lead, and now Lonsberry's been racking up wins like amazingly. Let me see my chart here. Last week, he had 6 winners, whereas Gill had 4. But he's slowly cutting into the lead, and he's within striking distance. So that could be interesting.
And we have a picture up there, and Lonsberry on the left, the Gill on the right, and so it's always fun. Obviously, the fun is going out to the racetrack, betting, and cashing some tickets. But when you get these human elements that come in, and there's a little duel as his seasons kind of wind up, that gives a little extra interest as well, no question about it.
Yes, and they do great. They do great with new acquisitions as well as the regular, their regular stock.
And for folks who are going to be playing Monticello this afternoon, what's the weather look like?
The weather, it's very sunny, and it's unusually warm, but that's going to all end by the end of the day, I believe. I guess it'll be in the 50s, I'd say, low 50s up there. But after today, I think you could forget about the real nice weather, calm conditions, and whatnot. That's supposed to really pick up windy, but after the racing, hopefully.
Sounds like pretty similar to what we're getting here a little further upstate. It seems like it's going to be nice most of the day and then make a little bit of a switch by the time tomorrow rolls around. But it's that time of year.
Yes.
All right, Steve, let's take a look at some of the action for this afternoon. You have some thoughts for us on some of these races, including the 4th race. We'll kick off with that one. It is a trot. What are your thoughts in race number 4?
Okay, Seth, I tried to come up with a price horse today. It was very difficult, so I'm just going to, give you what I like here today.
Sounds good.
Let me get over here. Okay, in the 4th, it's hard to get crazy about a horse that's 3 for 47 lifetime. But the number 1 horse in here, Stay All Day, has been racing very, very well recently. 4 seconds and a third in his last 5 starts. His latest effort was over a sloppy track, and he pulled it to half, and he had a long grind uncovered, and the horse that had the lead was a 3 to 5 shot. He went up close to him, and most times they would probably get tired turning for home, but he dug in and fought gamely to the wire, and he lost by half a length. Like I say, though, he is a little camera shy, but today could be the day that he puts it all together, and he has improved position.
Yeah, he certainly does have a bridesmaid scenario working. As you say, 3 wins in 47 starts, 8 seconds and 7 thirds, but that last one was probably the most promising finish of really looking on the page here.
Yes, and it was a very sloppy track, so
all right.
we're going to give him a shot. Maybe for an exacta in there, the 4, My Buddy Chimo. He's been a very popular horse over the years at Monticello. His form is very not that good right now, but he takes a key drop. Billy Parker Jr. hops aboard, and many times you'll see horses like this perk up, at the real low level. So maybe an exact of 1-4 there.
All right, sounds good. Let's shift our attention now out to race number 7 this afternoon, and this one is a pace. Your thoughts here?
Yes, race 7 is a tough race, and you might get a little better price than you really should get on the number 4, What Rusty. And this horse beat this level back in October with a big uncovered try in a 155 and 2 mile. His latest effort, he made a big wide move through the middle half, making up 10.5 lengths, and he still was able to rally down the lane and come home in 29 and 4 to grab second behind a horse named Hazelnut, who's in the first race today, and she's won 4 in a row at Monticello. And so What Rusty, I think we're going to give her another shot here today. Alicia Lafreniere usually perks up at this time of the year. She's a very good trainer. And it is a very tough race. The 5 is in top form, hasn't been off the board for the longest time. And again, you got Bruce Aldrich. But I think the 4 with the right trip is going to take this.
Yeah, and you look at the past performances for What Rusty, and you go back down to September, which was another winning effort, and that left that day from the 1 hole. The race you referred to left from the 2 hole, 4 starts back. And today's 4 hole is the best start in the last 4 starts.
Yes.
So best post position in the last 4 starts. So that may help out getting that trip you're anticipating will get us a decent effort today. So the post position certainly could play an important factor, as it normally does on the harness side.
Yes.
All right, let's shift our attention now out to race number 9 this afternoon. And again, we're talking about Monticello. Monticello's 9th race today. Again, it's a trot. Your thoughts there?
Yes. The number 3 horse, Sweet Joe, he comes off a much improved effort against Better. He did come in 4th. Again, he's had the 7 hole in his last 3 starts. This horse, when he's right, or on a top effort, would destroy this field. He raced at Yonkers, and Jimmy DeVoe hops aboard, and Andrew Adamczyk is the trainer, and he does quite well. As you can see, he wins at 30%. And this is just improved position at a lower level, and I think it's his time to perk up here today.
Seriously improved position over the last 3.
Yes.
Yeah, came out of the 7 hole in all of those, and it looks like, 2 starts back, broke before actually the start of the race. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. So, all right, so we have some suggestions there for Monticello for this afternoon, and also a little conversation about some trainers and riders, drivers to keep your eyes on. Bruce Aldrich, certainly, but as well as Lonsberry and Danny Gill. And again, on Wednesday, that Heritage, for the Canadian Heritage folks with Ronnie Wren coming in to ride. We'll keep our attention on that as well for Monticello this week. Steve, we certainly appreciate the visit. And again, it's getting that time of year where maybe we'll be plugging in a little more often at the beginning of the week. We always like to tip our cap to the folks in the audience who like the sulky side. So again, good luck this afternoon, and we'll talk to you again.
Okay, thanks, Seth, and thanks for having me, Seth.
Thanks a lot. Steve Turjanian from Monticello Raceway. And again, a reminder, if you go to the Monticello Raceway website, Steve's picks are up there each and every day. All right, we'll take our next break. When we come back, it's going to be Frank Vespi from theracingbiz.com. We're going to recap some of the action at Laurel from this past weekend, the stakes action on Saturday. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Monday morning. Happy to be looking back at some stakes action, and we're going to concentrate now on Laurel. They had a good day on Saturday, 4 nice stakes, and I reached out to Frank Vespi of the RacingBiz.com because, of course, the Racing Biz concentrates on racing in the Mid-Atlantic, and the Maryland region is right in there. Frank himself from the Maryland area. Frank, good morning.
Hey, Seth, how are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board because, again, really there's been a little bit of maybe a lull the past couple of weeks since the Breeders' Cup, but I was surprised as I shifted through last week and took a look at some of the stakes action at how nice Laurel was on Saturday. Talked a little bit to Dave Rodman last week previewing things. Have you on to recap, and we'll kick things right off with the state-bred Jennings Handicap, $100,000 purse, 3-year-olds and up. Again, Maryland breds going the 1-turn mile. And as I say, Dave Rodman and I talked last week. We said 8 Too Fast to Catch. And I think I had talked to you before the Maryland Millions as well. Dave and I talked, and I think you and I also said 8 Too Fast to Catch in that Maryland Millions race. Sometimes he goes out there a little too fast and can get reeled in, but it just looked like in the Maryland Millions race he had a little too much class, even if things didn't go his way for that field. That turned out to be the case. Well, it was a pretty similar situation on Saturday in the Jennings. Lives up to his name again. We're going to watch the stretch run, and it will be number 2, 8 Too Fast to Catch, getting it done over pretty much an outclassed field in here.
Yeah, I mean, it really, and this was one of those races where you kind of scratch your head a little bit and what are the jocks doing here? I mean, 8 Too Fast to Catch likes to go to the lead, likes to be by himself, likes to do it on the front the way he wants to do it. So they let him go 24-1 for the opening quarter, 47 and change for the half. And he's not coming back if you let him do that. And, certainly not against the likes of these. And that's what happened here. The nice sort of part of the story that I didn't quite get picked up or played the way maybe I think it should have is this was his 3rd straight win in the Jennings, and only one other horse has done that, and that was the great Maryland bred of the 80s, Little Bull John, who won the General George, won the Don Handicap, won over $2 million. So it's pretty nice company for 8 Too Fast to Catch to be keeping when he joins Little Bull John in the record book.
Yeah, and you make a great point. I mean, 8 Too Fast to Catch certainly is known to folks down in Maryland because he does so well on that circuit, and as you say, has now gotten this race 3 straight times. He's probably a horse, though, that nationally goes a little under the radar, which is unfortunate. A 7-year-old gelding, I mean, these are the kind of horses we want to root for. This horse is now approaching $1 million in earnings, and he's just fun out there. Of course, as you say, did it in a fashion that has me pulling my hair. I've mentioned this for probably the past 2 years. I think that whole notion of jockeys having stopwatches in their head has gone the way of the dodo bird, because again, it is, you want to pull your hair out when you look and see that kind of thing. You get a horse of this quality on the front end, 24, 47, 111, as you said, they're not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it just, somebody came up to me before the race and said, what do you think's going to happen here? And I said, I think, A Too Fast to Catch is going to walk out by himself and not come back. And he said, I think he's going to get pressed. I said, okay, who's going to press him? And the answer is nobody. It's almost like all the jockeys said, well, we can't beat him, so let's see if we could be second. And, that's kind of how the race ran. And, Wild Lewis was second, and Concealed Identity was a long wait for third. But there was no threat of Forest Boyce. I don't know if the clip you played showed it, but Forest Boyce on A Too Fast to Catch, from even before the quarter pole, was looking behind her, saying, "Where is everybody?"
Yeah, when he's on his game, and again, it just seemed like this field was a little bit outclassed by him. When he's on his game, that is the fashion he does it in, and certainly did it this past Saturday. All right, let's look out at race number 6 on Saturday, which was the Smart Halo. This was for 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs. Dave Rodman thought we were going to see something special from Coca-Cola, the Pletcher entry. Coca-Cola was the number 7 horse as we watch him come down the stretch, the even money favorite. But both Dave and I on Friday last week thought Bacopa Breeze, coming in from Mountaineer off a couple of nice wins with good numbers, was going to be very interesting. And as we see him down here, it is the number 2, Bacopa Breeze, holding off Coca-Cola. The Pletcher entry runs second. The horse coming in from Mountaineer gets it done at 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of an interesting race. I mean, this was one of the things I was talking with some folks about earlier. Was I'm not sure I ever expected to see a 2-year-old filly race at Laurel where the horse that won, and even though she was DQ'd, but actually crossed the line first in the Adirondack, would not be the favorite. And that's Who's in Town, who I think finished third in this race and was not the favorite because Coca-Cola was. Coca-Cola broke a little slow and was in last early on in this race, and so she had some excuse here. At the same time, she has basically the last furlong to get by Bacopa Breeze, and that horse would not let her by. So really, you guys were right on Bacopa Breeze. I mean, she gave a really nice effort. That was a legitimate victory against a legitimately solid crew.
Yeah, she just looked interesting perhaps on the numbers. I think the Mountaineer races, I think that MNR accounted for the odds on this horse. I think if you had the same numbers in finishing positions with an AQU in there, it would have been a little bit different odds-wise. You're right, though, Who's in Town went off as the 3-2 second choice, and that was kind of interesting. A Michael Max runner that had won a graded event up at Saratoga, as you say, subsequently disqualified, but had come under the line first, but she did finish third in there. But a nice running of the Smart Halo, and I think probably at least the top 2, and Who's in Town also, but certainly the top 2, I think, are a couple of 2-year-old fillies that'll be worth keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, I agree. It was these 2 2-year-old races that they ran at Laurel were both really nice groups of horses, and I think we might be seeing something good out of some of the runners there, including, as you said, the first 2 here.
Yeah, and we'll look at the boys' version in just a second, because I agree. And as I say, it was 4 nice stakes races across the board, but the 2 2-year-old races are going to be fun to keep our eyes on the competitors in there. But before we get to the boys' version, I want to bring up the Dave's Friend $100,000 purse, 3-year-olds and up, going 3/4 of a mile. And just before we do that, I mentioned this to Dave Rodman on Friday. I had to look up, when Dave's Friend came to mind, I had to look up the lifetime record. Dave's Friend, boy, what a Maryland bred this one was. 78 lifetime starts, 35 wins, 15 second-place finishes. So it's good that they honor that one with this stakes race. But we're watching him come down the stretch. It is the number 6, Service for 10, getting the job done. Number 1 for Smiley is subsequently going to be disqualified and placed sixth in this race. So number 3, Escrow Kid, will be moved up to second place. But Service for 10 under Sheldon Russell gets the job done as the second choice. Disappointing in here as the 8-5 favorite was Guam Typhoon, who winds up running last. But as I say, with a DQ in there, Guam Typhoon still winds up last, but the DQ affects the top 3 finishing places. Number 6, Service for 10 wins. Number 3, Escrow Kid runs second. Number 7, Rainbow Air winds up third in this race.
Yeah, and Service for 10 is kind of a neat story because he debuted in Maiden 10,000 Company at the beginning of his career, won for fun that day, gets claimed for 25 out of the second race of his career, which is, if you've ever claimed a horse, it's a pretty big risk to drop 25 on a horse he could have had for 10 3 weeks earlier, and has gone on now and won over $200,000 and has turned into a really nice horse with 2 stakes wins. This was a race that he really figured, I thought, to have a big shot in because there's a lot of pace up front, a lot of horses that wanted to be on the lead. You figured he was going to sit back a few lengths and make a run, and that's exactly how it played out for him. For Smiley, the one who really ran a good race, except for the beginning of the race where he basically hooked the right out of the gate and cleaned out several of the horses outside of him. And that really cost – the horse who really got harmed the most by that was the 4-horse Congressional Page, who ended up way in last after that, and then I think ended up second to last, and then got moved up another click with the DQ. But another nice win for Service for 10, who has turned into a really nice racehorse.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, again, there's some horses here are going to be fun to watch going forward. 8 Too Fast to Catch, Service for 10, as I say, those two-year-old fillies. But we mentioned it before, on the 2-year-old boys' side, the James Lewis Stakes race. These are 2-year-old males going 6 furlongs, $100,000 purse. We're going to watch the stretch run here. It's going to be number 4, Jesse the Marine. Dave Rodman talked a little bit about this one as one to kind of keep your eyes on it, maybe a little bit of a price. He was correct there, 35 to 1. So Dave Rodman handing out these $70 winners on the show like crazy. Didn't necessarily, wasn't jumping on this necessarily as a top pick, but thought it was one worth keeping in mind. Yeah, but Jesse the Marine does get it done for John Rigateri and Daniel Centino. Does it just by a neck, gets up there and gets it done over the 9-2 Pure Sensation, the number 8 horse in here for Christophe Clement. The favorite in the race at 9-5 was Corfu from Todd Pletcher. Corfu winds up a disappointing 5th in here. But again, Jesse the Marine may be one we'll keep our eyes on.
Yeah, I mean, this was another really interesting race. As you said, you had Corfu, you had Debt Ceiling, who won the Bashford Manor. You had some horses with a little bit of class behind them, and this Jesse the Marine, if you had him, you're a smarter man than I am, because I didn't see that coming. And in fact, he's a big, good-looking horse, but he was kind of a train wreck in the paddock before the race. He was bucking and kicking. He almost took some guy's head off. So, it was a classic situation where you see him and you say, well, we don't have to worry about this horse winning. And then he absolutely came from the clouds to pick up Pure Sensation. And another horse who you didn't mention is It's a Bang, who ran 3rd, who was beat a neck for 2nd and a half length for all the money. And I think It's a Bang is another horse who ran a really good race here. He, was hustled early, then eased back, and then had to shift out and came, continued coming on. I thought he ran a really good race too. I think those top 3 horses all ran really nice races. One horse that maybe is worth mentioning with a bad trip was Aaron's Orient, who took a pretty bad stumble coming out of the gate. Made a little bit of a run into contention, probably around the 8th pole, and then tired from there. But he certainly had an excuse coming out of this one.
Yeah, Aaron's Orient, first start for Todd Pletcher. The other Todd Pletcher, besides Corfu, had moved out of the barn of Steve Asmussen. So, again, disappointing in there, but may have had an excuse. And you mentioned It's a Bang. Was 2 for 2 coming into the race, including the Maryland Million Nursery last time. So, yeah, nice that you threw him into the mix, because probably the top 3 will all be worth watching. And again, with Aaron's Orient having the bad trip, maybe we'll forgive that as well. But it was really a nice day of stakes racing down at Laurel this weekend, probably as far as across the country, as far as a group of stakes races, the most interesting over the weekend. And we were talking before we went on the air, in addition to the stakes action, they had a nice little ceremony down there at Laurel as well.
Yeah, they sure did. It was they had a retirement ceremony for Dance to Bristol, who, although not Maryland bred, it was based at Bowie this year, and as I'm sure everybody knows, won the Ballerina at Saratoga and a couple of other graded races, and raced in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. So they had she's en route to Kentucky now, where she's going to be bred to Warfront and for the coming season. And so they had a retirement ceremony for her. Xavier Perez, who rode her throughout her winning streak, was there, and Ollie Figgins, the trainer, and Susan and David Wantz, who are the owners. They were all there, and you know, there were a lot of certainly among the connections, there were a lot of people fighting back tears at the end of it. It was really, you know, this was a really nice ride, a really nice story where, you know, it's one of those a good horse can come from anywhere stories, and one of those, it's you know, a good horseman sometimes just needs a chance stories, and that's kind of what came together with Dance to Bristol, which ended up being a really nice story. It didn't end the way they had hoped for, but I think they're gonna really take some good memories away. And the interesting thing I found is I asked both Susan Wantz and Ollie Figgins if they remember one thing about Dance to Bristol, what's it going to be? And neither one of them said anything about the races. They both pointed, Ollie pointed to the first time she came into the barn, and Susan pointed to when she was on the farm before she had ever raced. And so it's kind of interesting. I think, you know, I guess we always say this, but I think in this case it's true. To some extent, the horse's personality is one of the things that really made these people sort of fall in love with her.
Yeah, and you know, we read those stories, as you say, every once in a while, but it is worth putting out there as much as possible. The folks, it's not said enough how attached folks are to these horses and how well taken care of they are, and how much esteem they have in the place of the connections. And certainly a horse like this, it's probably more so because, as you say, it's a smaller outfit, gets a big horse. And for us up here, it was a lot of fun to see Dance to Bristol get the stakes victory up here at Saratoga, and then you wonder, well, is that a fluke? Well, no, she comes back and validates with another stakes victory up at Saratoga. So she was kind of special to us up here in this region as well. So it's nice that they took some time to honor her down there, as well as the connections. And how was the crowd on Saturday?
Well, it was good. You know, obviously it was a great card of races, as you said, and then they also had this big brew and bourbon festival, and so they got a lot of people out for that as well. So it was really a fun day. You know, when they put these, you know, the idea with putting all the stakes races together, I think, is to, in part, to kind of impact the simulcast trade and make people around the country pay a little more attention. But at the same time, it makes these days really fun. You know, you go out and it's a big day, and it feels like a big day. So it was a nice crowd, and it was really a good time. People just seemed to really enjoy themselves. So it was a lot of fun. And you know, we've talked about this before, Seth. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in Maryland right now. There's a new breeding operation that's about to start as well, which we're going to have some stuff up on probably later today. And there's a lot of good things going on. And so when you see a nice crowd and a nice day of racing, you know, it all sort of feeds into all the nice stuff that's finally happening after all these years. And you know, I haven't looked at the handle yet. You certainly hope that they're getting good results, because they are trying something different that seems to be exciting.
Yeah, the one disappointment, of course, was King Leatherbury opting not to go with Ben's Cat. That was going to be a lot of fun. Is there something on the horizon for Ben's Cat, do you know?
Yeah, my guess would be he's mentioned two races: the Fabulous Strike at Penn National on Thanksgiving Eve, which is a race that he won last year with Ben's Cat. And that's, I think, a $250,000 race. And he's also mentioned the Fall Highway, Highway at Aqueduct. So I'm not sure if he's decided which one he's going to do. With King, he might just enter and see how the field comes up. But it's disappointing, but you can't blame him. If you're going to run in a pretty rugged group, and the Dave's Friend was a pretty rugged group, you might as well race for 250 or 300 rather than 100. So you can't really blame him for the decision that he made. Although you wished he'd shown up here, and people in Maryland certainly do love him.
Oh, absolutely. I think nationwide at this point. But as you say, he won the race last year. We showed that race last week in anticipation of perhaps him running on Saturday because it was the last time he ran on dirt, and he did win there. So it's going to be fun to see where he winds up because, again, he is kind of a fan favorite. Frank, we'll let you go. We certainly appreciate the visit this morning and the recap. Again, I'll remind people, theracingbiz.com. Go over there and visit complete coverage of Mid-Atlantic racing, which, of course, includes the very good Maryland circuit. Always some great fun stuff on theracingbiz.com. Frank, again, thanks for the visit.
Thank you so much, Seth. I appreciate it.
All right. Frank Vespi from theracingbiz.com. We'll take our last break of the hour. When we come back, got one more race I want to show you from the weekend, a 2-year-old that may be of interest moving forward. We'll do all of that right after this.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. With a newly designed and engineered internet wagering platform, enhanced video streaming, additional funding options, and 3 new individual wagering opportunities, CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. Combine that with our all-new mobile website. You have 2 of the most powerful, innovative, and advanced wagering platforms available today. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Just have a couple minutes left, but I did want to show a 2-year-old race from this past Saturday. Interesting in a couple of aspects. A, the horse first-time starter gets it done. First-time starter by Tappet, may be worth keeping our eyes on, but also from a betting aspect. The longer half of the uncoupled entry does it again, and interesting enough, it's also Todd Pletcher. We're going to watch race number 4 from Saturday, maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going a mile. The winner is going to be the number 3 Matterhorn. And again, this is the other Pletcher. The favorite in the race, 4-5, was the number 9 Harpoon. Harpoon was making the 3rd career start. Harpoon in the first 2 had finished second to Tis Now for America, and last time out, Cairo Prince. So Harpoon took all of the action for Todd Pletcher and Javier Castellano. Matterhorn is let to get away at 13-1. Todd Pletcher and Luis Saez. Matterhorn by Tappet. So you have Todd Pletcher, you have Michael Tabor, Magnier Tabor, Smith, Pletcher, with a Tappet first-time starter. And looking up the breeding on the bottom side, the dam produced another sibling called Title Contender, who you may remember as having raced last year and part of this year. Won the 2nd career start out at Santa Anita. Subsequently this year won the Ohio Derby, the British Columbia Derby. So Title Contender, the sibling, had shown some nice talent. So you have a horse by Tappet with some very good connections, as I say, Pletcher, Magnier Tabor, and 13-1. sneaks away at. But Matterhorn could be interesting, again, with a little bit of breeding there and winning the career debut at a tough debut distance of a mile. Matterhorn could be a nice horse to keep our eyes open from Todd Pletcher, whereas Harpoon now is almost, we may stamp on the forehead bridesmaid, because that is now 3 second-place finishes. But it may turn out, as I say, Matterhorn could be turn out to be okay. So Harpoon in the 3 career starts may have finished second to 3 pretty good horses. We'll see again how this all shakes out. But I do want to note one other aspect on this. The funny thing is the Pletcher horse in that race gets away at 13-1. The 4 to 5 other Pletcher runs second. A nice $74 Pletcher Exacta in that 4th race Saturday at Aqueduct. But the day before out at Churchill Downs, you want to talk about a named trainer getting away with a very good Exacta. How about Churchill Downs Friday, their race 5 for 2-year-old fillies, maiden special weight event, first-time starter from Bill Mott. Market Magic gets away at 45-1, pays $92 to win. But how about this? Underneath, another Bill Mott horse. Bill Mott runs second at 21-1. So in that 5th on Friday at Churchill, it's Mott over Mott. A Mott horse wins at 45-1. A Mott horse runs second at 21-1. And again, if you're not familiar, we think of Bill Mott as a New York-based trainer, which he is essentially, but he's also the winningest trainer down at Churchill Downs all time. So Bill Mott is a guy you got to pay attention to down at Churchill. 45-1, 21-1. A Mott Exacta on Friday pays $713. So the game isn't quite that easy, but maybe we overthink it sometimes, because Mott, the winningest trainer down at Churchill Downs, 700 and change for a nice Exacta this past Friday. As I say, it's not that easy, but sometimes maybe you take a shot for those easy ones and knock it out of the park. All right, that's going to wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Monday morning. We're here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Prior to our show, it is the Handicappers Report at 9 a.m. We were on this morning, Anthony Mormino and I, looking at Parks and Finger Lakes. Hopefully we gave out some good information, so have a great afternoon at the races this afternoon. Do want to remind you one more time before we go. This evening, head down to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. There's boxing tonight down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. It's part of a series of 5 nights of boxing. This is the 3rd. It's always the 3rd Monday of the month. So there will be more boxing in December and in January. But tonight, down here, Monday night, boxing at the Clubhouse Racebook. The doors open at 5:30. The first bout is at 6:30. If you're a boxing fan, head down here to the Clubhouse Racebook. That wraps it up for Racing Across America for this Monday morning. Good luck at the races this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.